Your world just tilted off its axis. Maybe a project you poured your soul into just collapsed, or a conversation left you feeling completely deflated. That heavy, overwhelmed feeling is a signal. It means you are ready to build a different kind of strength, one that does not break when life pushes back. This is not about shutting off your feelings. It is about an ancient operating system for the mind called Stoicism, a practical toolkit for forging unshakable resilience. By the end of this, you will have 8 powerful techniques to transform how you handle pressure, loss, and uncertainty. We are going to explore how Roman emperors and enslaved philosophers used mental exercises to stay steady in chaos, and how you can apply them today. Think of it as weightlifting for your mind. What is the first thought that comes to mind when you hear you cannot control everything? The core of this resilience is a simple but radical filter for every situation you will ever face. It is called the dichotomy of control, and it comes from a philosopher named Epictetus who began his life in chains. He taught that the source of our suffering is not events themselves, but our judgments about them. To find peace, you must ruthlessly separate everything in your life into 2 categories: what is up to you and what is not. Your own judgments, your values, your desires, and your actions. These are yours to command. Everything else, the external events, other people's opinions, the past, the weather, the stock market, is not. It is the realm of things you can influence, perhaps, but never fully control. Think of it like playing a video game. You can control your character. You decide when to jump, when to attack, what path to take, but you cannot control the game's code, the level design, or the other players. Getting angry at the game for having a difficult level is as pointless as getting angry at rain for falling. It is just part of the environment. Now apply this filter to a daily stressor. You are stuck in a traffic jam, late for an important meeting. Your heart races, you grip the wheel, ask the question, is this traffic jam within my control? No, it is an external event. Is my reaction to it within my control? Absolutely. My frustration, my anxiety, my decision to use the time to listen to an audiobook or practice deep breathing, that is all mine. The moment you make this separation, something shifts. The frantic energy aimed at the unmoving traffic reroutes. It now fuels a choice. You can choose to fume, or you can choose to accept the reality and use the moment. This is how resilience is built, brick, by constantly redirecting your effort from what you cannot change to what you can. Your energy is no longer leaked into the void of worry over things outside your command. It is concentrated on your response, which is always yours to shape. That traffic jam example reveals a quiet truth about our minds. We instinctively brace for the worst possible outcome, but we do it with fear, not with strategy. The Stoics took this instinct and turned it into a deliberate exercise, a mental vaccine against future shock. They called it negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum, which means the premeditation of evils. This is technique too, and it is profoundly counterintuitive. It is not about cultivating pessimism. It is about psychological inoculation. Here is how it works. You set aside a few quiet minutes, perhaps at the start or end of your day. You then vividly, calmly imagine a specific hardship, not in a vague, anxious way, but with deliberate detail. Picture your car breaking down on a remote road. Imagine receiving an unexpected email that your job is being eliminated. Visualize a difficult health diagnosis or the end of an important relationship. The key is to feel the emotional weight of the scenario, to sit with the discomfort of the possibility. Why would anyone do this? It serves 2 powerful purposes. First, it instantly recalibrates your gratitude. The moment you mentally step into a world where you have lost your job, you open your eyes back to the present and feel a surge of appreciation for the work you currently have. You mentally lose your health and you become acutely aware of the simple gift of breathing without pain. This practice dissolves taking things for granted. Second, and more crucially for resilience, it rehearses your response. By walking through the scenario in your mind, you are building neural pathways for composure. You are asking yourself, in that imagined crisis, what would I do? Who would I call? What is the first practical step? When a real difficulty strikes, it is no longer a terrifying, unknown monster. It is a situation you have already faced, in a sense, and survived within the safety of your own mind. The shock value is gone, replaced by a grim but manageable familiarity. The philosopher Seneca advised periodically living as if you had lost everything to truly discover what you could not live without. He was not promoting misery. He was performing a stress test on his own contentment, ensuring it was built on a solid foundation, not on fragile luck. By regularly visiting the possibility of loss, you stop fearing its shadow. You prepare your inner citadel so when the storm does hit, and it will, you are not scrambling to build walls. You are already inside, steady and ready to respond. Premeditating hardship builds a sturdy shelter within your mind, but the ultimate goal is not just to endure the storm. It is to walk out into the rain with your head up. This brings us to the third technique, a profound shift from acceptance to affirmation, called Amor Fati. This Latin phrase means love of fate. It was the personal motto of the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who ruled an empire while writing private notes on self-mastery, and it was later championed by the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. Amor Fati is the practice of not merely tolerating what life throws at you, but actively loving it, embracing every event, every setback, every twist of fortune as a necessary and valuable part of your unique story. This is far beyond passive resignation. Passive acceptance says, well, this bad thing happened, I guess I have to deal with it. It is a sigh of defeat. Amor Fati looks at that same event and says, this happened for me, and I choose to find the gift in it. It is a declaration of sovereignty over your own narrative. Consider a real-world example. Imagine you spent a year developing a business idea. You worked late nights, invested your savings, and pitched it to investors. And it failed completely. The conventional reaction is to see that year as a loss, a waste of time, a blow to your confidence. You might accept the failure and move on, but the sting remains. Now apply Amor Fati. You look at that same failed project and you ask a different set of questions. What did building that teach me about my own discipline? What flaws in the idea did this process reveal that I was blind to before? Which connections did I make during this journey that will lead to my next better opportunity? In this light, the failure is not an endpoint. It is the crucial, painful, and absolutely necessary course correction that steered your ship away from a shallow idea and toward a deeper purpose. Without that failure, you might still be pouring energy into a doomed venture. The setback becomes the very fuel for your next breakthrough. This mindset transforms every obstacle from a brick wall into a stepping stone. A painful breakup is not just heartbreak, it is a masterclass in your own needs and boundaries. A financial loss is not just a setback, it is a ruthless teacher in resourcefulness and value. When you practice Amor Fati, you stop seeing events as purely good or bad. You begin to see them as threads, all essential, weaving the complete tapestry of who you are becoming. Nothing is wasted. Every experience, especially the difficult ones, is recruited into the service of your growth. This is the heart of unshakable resilience. It is the realization that the story of your life is not written by what happens to you, but by the meaning you choose to assign to it, and you can choose to love it all. Loving your fate gives every event meaning, but sometimes the weight of a single moment can feel crushing. This is when you need a different kind of vision, a mental telescope to pull you back from the edge. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, amid the crushing pressures of ruling an empire, had a secret exercise for this exact purpose. He called it the view from above. This is technique 4, a powerful cognitive shift that physically alters how your brain processes stress. It works like this. When you're drowning in a problem, caught in the tight spiral of your own anxiety, you pause. You close your eyes if you can. You begin to zoom out deliberately and slowly. First, see yourself from the ceiling of the room you are in. Notice your posture, the space around you. Now pull back further. See your building from above, then your neighborhood, then your entire city. A grid of lights and tiny moving cars. Keep going. See your country as a shape on the globe, then the whole planet, a beautiful blue marble hanging in the blackness of space. Finally, let your mind expand to view our solar system, our galaxy, and the incomprehensible vastness of the cosmos, where our sun is just one faint star among hundreds of billions. What happens in this mental journey is a profound recalibration of scale. The argument that felt world-ending, the rejection letter that shattered your confidence, the financial worry that kept you up all night, is now seen in its true context. It is happening to one person on one tiny rock in one fleeting moment of cosmic time. This is not meant to make your problems feel trivial or your feelings invalid. It is designed to give them their proper proportion so they stop consuming your entire field of vision. The emotional weight that felt like a boulder becomes a pebble you can hold in your hand. You are not your problem. You are the vast awareness observing it from a place of quiet distance. For maximum impact, try pairing this exercise with actual images of Earth from space, the pale blue dot photographs. Seeing our world as a lonely, beautiful speck against the void has a humbling and strangely unifying effect. It reminds you that every human drama, every triumph and tragedy in history has played out on this fragile stage. Your current challenge is simply part of that ancient, ongoing story. This perspective builds resilience by anchoring you in something larger than your immediate self-interest. It prevents you from being psychologically consumed by a temporary setback. When you can see your life as a small, meaningful part of a grand and mysterious whole, you gain the courage to face the part you have been given to play with a steadier heart and a clearer mind. That cosmic view shrinks the world to a manageable size, but the real work of resilience happens much closer to home, in the quiet space of your own mind. This brings us to the most personal and practical of all Stoic tools, Technique 5, the evening review. This is not the simple diary entry of what you had for lunch. It is a structured, almost surgical exercise in self-examination, designed to turn daily life into your training ground. The Stoics called it an examination of conscience, and it was a non-negotiable part of their daily routine. Picture the end of your day. The noise has faded. In that stillness, you take a few minutes with a notebook and you ask yourself 3 deliberate questions. First, what did I do well today? Where did I act with courage, patience, or integrity? This is not about ego. It is about reinforcing the behaviors you want to cultivate, giving your inner strength a nod of recognition. The second question cuts deeper. Where did I let externals disturb my peace? When did I react with anger to a trivial delay, or allow someone's rude comment to hijack my mood for an hour? Be brutally honest, but without self-flagellation. The goal is to identify the crack in your mental armor, the precise moment you handed control of your inner state over to something outside yourself. The third question builds the bridge to tomorrow. How can I improve based on what I saw today? What is one small, concrete adjustment I can make? Maybe it is, tomorrow when I feel that first spark of irritation in a meeting, I will take one deep breath before I speak. Or when I start worrying about a future event, I will immediately ask, is this within my control? This nightly ritual is how philosophy stops being abstract theory and becomes lived experience. You are not just reading about the dichotomy of control, you are auditing your own day to see where you forgot to use it. The most famous example of this practice is not a modern self-help book, but a 2,000-year-old personal journal never intended for publication. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations during military campaigns in the dead of night as reminders to himself. He was literally coaching his own soul on how to be just steady and resilient amid the immense pressure of ruling the Roman Empire. His writings are the ultimate evening review, a man of supreme power holding himself to the highest standard of character. When you commit to this daily practice, something profound happens. You build a feedback loop for your own mind. Mistakes are no longer failures, they are data points. Triggers are no longer mysteries, they are maps of your own vulnerabilities. Over time, this consistent reflection solidifies the lessons. You start to catch yourself in the moment because you have rehearsed the analysis in the quiet aftermath. Your resilience grows not from avoiding storms, but from learning night by night exactly how you navigate through them. This journal is the workshop where you forge your character, one honest entry at a time. But that nightly reflection often reveals a quiet dependency we rarely question, our deep, almost invisible attachment to constant ease. The Stoics had a radical solution for this, a form of mental and physical training they called voluntary discomfort. This is technique 6, and it is about deliberately choosing to be a little uncomfortable, a little cold, or a little inconvenienced to prove a vital point to yourself. The philosopher Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in Rome, would regularly practice poverty. He would sleep on a hard bed, wear simple clothes, and eat only plain food for days at a time. He was not punishing himself, he was conducting an experiment. He wanted to know with absolute certainty if his peace of mind was truly his own or if it was borrowed from his luxurious surroundings. The goal is to build what we might call a resilience muscle. Just as you lift weights not because you expect to be chased by a bear, but to be strong for whatever life brings, you practice discomfort to be ready for life's inevitable hardships. The practice is simple, but its effects are profound. Start with something small and safe. Take a cold shower for the final 30 seconds. Choose to walk to the store instead of driving on a perfectly nice day. Skip a meal and sit with the sensation of hunger, not with panic but with curiosity. Turn off all screens and entertainment for one full evening and just be with your own thoughts. In each of these moments, you are sending a powerful message to your subconscious. You are saying, "See, I can handle this. My well-being is not held hostage by perfect temperature, instant gratification, or constant distraction." This practice systematically dismantles fear. When you voluntarily face a small chill, you chip away at the terror of being cold. When you choose a modest meal, you weaken the anxiety of future scarcity. You are not preparing for a life of deprivation. You are inoculating yourself against the shock of inconvenience, which is a far more common disruptor than catastrophe. It builds a foundational confidence that whispers, no matter what gets taken away, my core capacity to choose my response remains. That is the bedrock of true resilience. It is the unshakable knowledge that you are more adaptable, more durable than your circumstances. That practice of voluntary discomfort trains your body and mind to handle the external world, but there is an even deeper layer of resilience to master, one that happens entirely in the language of your own thoughts. This is technique 7, objective representation, and it is the mental scalpel that cuts through the stories we tell ourselves. The philosopher Epictetus gave us the core idea in one unforgettable line. It is not things that upset us, but our judgments about things. Think about that for a moment. The event itself is neutral. The pain comes from the label we instantly, automatically slap onto it. A critical email is not, in its raw form, a catastrophe. It is a collection of digital words on a screen. Your judgment that it is a personal insult, a sign of failure, or a professional threat, that is what unleashes the cascade of anxiety and anger. Objective representation is the practice of stripping away those emotional judgments and seeing the event as plainly and factually as possible. Here is a step-by-step breakdown you can use the next time stress hits. First, pause. Do not react, just stop. This is the hardest but most crucial part. Second, describe the situation to yourself in the simplest, most boring language you can imagine, as if you were a robot filing a report. Let us use that critical email as an example. The emotional narrative screams, "My boss hates my work, I am going to get fired, this is a disaster." The objective representation says, "I have received a written communication from my supervisor. It contains 3 points of feedback on my recent project report. The tone is direct and lacks positive reinforcement. That is it. No labels, no predictions, no melodrama. Just the observable facts. By doing this, you create a vital gap between the stimulus and your reaction. In that small space of clarity, your power returns. You are no longer a prisoner of the initial emotional story. You are now an observer with a choice. From this calm center, you can ask rational questions. Is any of this feedback valid and useful for improving the project? Does my supervisor typically communicate in this direct style? What is the single next action I can take to address the concerns raised? This is how resilience is built in real time. It prevents the emotional escalation that turns a small spark into a forest fire. It allows you to address the actual problem, not the terrifying phantom your mind created around it. The event has not changed. The email is still there, but you have changed your relationship to it. You have moved from being at the mercy of a story to being the author of your response. This mental discipline turns everyday irritations and major setbacks into manageable puzzles rather than existential threats. You begin to see the world not as a series of personal affronts or cosmic endorsements, but as a flow of neutral events waiting for you to assign them meaning and purpose. And that power of interpretation is the ultimate source of your unshakable core. Objective representation clears the fog of your immediate reactions, but what about the next step, the moment you must act or commit to a plan? For this, the Stoics gave us a final, masterful technique, a 1-2 punch for navigating an uncertain world. This is the Stoic pause and the reserve clause, working in tandem to build a resilience that is both proactive and unshakably calm. Let us start with the pause. It sounds deceptively simple, just take a breath before you react, but in Stoic practice, it is far more than that. It is a deliberate, conscious insertion of space between the trigger and your response. Think of it as hitting the mental mute button. Someone cuts you off in traffic, a colleague makes a snide remark, you receive disappointing news. Your body tenses, your emotions surge, ready to launch a reaction, usually one you will regret. This is the critical juncture. The Stoic pause is the disciplined decision to do absolutely nothing for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. In that tiny window, you reclaim your sovereignty. You are no longer a puppet jerked by external strings. You become the observer, the chooser. This pause is where objective representation happens. It is where you ask, what is truly within my control here? That single breath is the difference between sending a furious email and deciding to take a walk first. It is the barrier that protects your relationships, your reputation, and your inner peace from the tyranny of impulse. Now pair that pause with a mindset for your forward-looking plans called the reserve clause. The ancient Greeks had a word for it, hypexersis. In practice, it is the mental addendum you silently attach to every goal and intention. You say to yourself, I will finish this project by Friday, fate permitting. I will make it to the meeting on time if nothing prevents me. I will have a productive conversation provided circumstances allow. This is not pessimism or a lack of commitment. It is the deepest form of strategic humility. The reserve clause does not weaken your effort. You still work as if everything depends on you, pouring your full energy into the action. But it changes your relationship to the outcome. You hold the goal lightly, understanding that the final result is not yours to command. It depends on 1,000 other factors, from someone else's decision to a sudden change in the weather. By building this clause into your expectations, you are vaccinating yourself against frustration. When an obstacle arises, it does not feel like a personal betrayal or a reason to quit. It feels like a condition of the world you had already acknowledged. Oh, the client rescheduled, fate permitted otherwise, the traffic is impossible. Something prevented me. The project scope changed dramatically. This is the reality I must now work with. Together, these two practices create a powerful rhythm for resilient living. The Stoic pause governs your reactions to the present moment, preventing you from making a bad situation worse with a heated response. The reserve clause governs your attitude toward the future, preventing you from being shattered when your best-laid plans go awry. This duo teaches you the art of committed action with detached acceptance. You strive fully, you care deeply, but your sense of worth and peace is not chained to a specific result. You can pour your heart into preparing for a job interview while silently knowing, fate permitting. This allows you to walk into that room with confidence, not desperate neediness. If you get the offer, you are grateful. If you do not, you are disappointed but not devastated because your inner stability was never mortgaged to that single outcome. You practiced, you learned, you showed up, and the rest was not up to you. This is the essence of resilient striving. It is moving through the world with intention and grace, building a life not on the fragile hope that everything will go your way, but on the unshakable knowledge that you can handle whatever way it goes. Your power was never in controlling every event, but in mastering your navigation through them all. We have walked through 8 powerful techniques, each a tool for a different part of the resilience build. We started with the fundamental filter, the dichotomy of control, learning to separate what is ours to command from what is not. We then premeditated hardship with negative visualization, not to fear the future, but to inoculate ourselves against its shock. From there, we moved to Amor, Fati, the radical choice to love our fate and find the gift in every twist of the story. When the weight felt too heavy, we used the view from above to regain cosmic perspective and shrink our problems to their proper size. Nightly, we turn to the evening review, the journal that transforms daily life into a training ground for our character. We practiced voluntary discomfort, proving to ourselves that our peace is not dependent on perfect conditions. We learn to use objective representation, the mental scalpel that cuts through emotional stories to reveal bare facts. And finally, we combine the Stoic pause with the reserve clause, mastering the art of committed action with detached acceptance of the outcome. These are not just philosophical ideas, they are a daily practice, a workout plan for your inner citadel. True resilience is not a personality trait you are born with. It is a skill forged in the quiet moments of reflection and the conscious choices you make when life pushes back. It is the cumulative effect of 1,000 small decisions to respond, not just react. So here is your challenge, your first step from theory into practice. This week, pick just one of these 8 techniques, just one. Maybe it is the evening review. Commit to 5 minutes before bed, asking those 3 simple questions. Or perhaps it is the Stoic pause. Decide that for the next 7 days, you will take that one deliberate breath before you speak in frustration. Do not try to master them all at once. Build the habit with one. Observe what happens. Notice the slight shift in your internal weather when you apply that single tool. Which technique called to you the most? Share it in the comments below. Let us build a community of practice, learning from each other's journeys. If you found this toolkit valuable, subscribe. We have only scratched the surface of turning ancient wisdom into modern, unshakable strength. Your resilience is not a distant dream, it is your next conscious choice. Make it